Today we're going to be looking at guitars that you will never see in a guitar store. I'm here at Emerald Guitars. Now I did a factory tour a few months back, but the Emerald guys have kindly invited me back to take a look at their full range of guitars, and this video is sponsored by Emerald Guitars. So, I'm here with Alistair. Alistair is the CEO, founder, the guy at Emerald Guitars. Alistair, can you show us what we got? Let's start off with the more normal.
Yeah,
well, that you'll see.
So it's great to have you back. First of all, it was about 6 months ago since you were last here, so it's great to have you here. And what we've done is we just put together the full range of Emerald guitars. And the last time you were here, we were mostly looking at the Virtuo. And we have one of those here, but we have 25 others. And so I suppose, we have such an unusual range of guitars that we thought it'd be really nice to take a look at the full line and why they're made this way and what's so unusual about them. So we'll start at the normal stuff first. And the first thing that's unusual with all our guitars is the fact that they're carbon fiber, but that's going to become the most normal fact as you go through this whole lineup of guitars.
Every guitar is carbon fiber.
Every guitar is carbon fiber. So we have a unique molding technology where we build an entire guitar in one piece. This really cool molding technology where the entire body, the back, the sides, the neck, everything is all molded together. So it makes a really strong and stable guitar. So if you're traveling, as you know, guitars move and warp and go out of tune. So that's the first thing that's great about carbon fiber. They're just so strong, but strength only takes you so far. But we've also been able to design a way to make a great sounding guitar. So the great thing about carbon is you're working with a very consistent material. So it allows you to build each one, the same. So once you've perfected the way of making a great sound, then you can keep on building guitars that sound great.
Yeah.
And so it's a great material. But what you're going to see in the lineup today is how it's given us this freedom to explore into all kinds of unusual areas. It's great for a 6-string guitar, but it's incredible for a 12-string guitar or an 18-string guitar.
Double necks,
HARP guitars. And it's great for two reasons. One is it's incredibly strong and light. So that makes an instrument that's very resonant, but also able to withstand all that tension. But also because of the way we mold the guitars, we can mold very unusual shapes. And things that are really difficult to do with wood become really quite easy to do with carbon. So that's why you're going to see all the things like the bevels that we do, the ergonomics on the back of the guitar and this asymmetrical side, and the way we do the cutaway here for the heel. All those things that are complex in wood really work very well in carbon. So this is the starting point. This is our baby guitar. This is our powder size 6-string guitar. We call it the X10. It's got a 24-inch scale and a really nice compact body. So then we go from the 6-string up into something a little bit more, I'm not going to say a little bit more interesting, because they're all interesting to the right person. And that's the great thing, it's finding the right guitar for the right person.
They've all got the carbon fiber. They've all got that as a standard. It's the specs that appeal to everyone. So
yeah, and I'm sure this is something that you come across. There'll be talk online and about what's the best guitar out there. And the reality is, whichever suits you. So there's no best. So the X10, this is a really cool guitar because this was designed. It was my first guitar designed more of as a crossover between acoustic and electric worlds. So nice compact body. It's got all the contours. It's got a slimmer profile neck, so it's much more kind of electric feeling neck. that cutaway so you can get right to the very top frets. And then it was all about designing pickup systems that really allow this guitar to shine. So we've got the fully adjustable acoustic bridge, which is a really cool feature. And what this does is it gives you the freedom that you have on like an electric guitar, so you can adjust for intonation, for your height, action height, easily just with the screws, you know. So why that's cool in an acoustic guitar is if you wanted to, you know, change your string gauges and stuff, and you know you've done some string changing videos and things, you'll know that different string gauges have quite different intonation points sometimes.
You need to have an adjustment point, and you can't really do that on the standard one saddle along the line for acoustic.
So you know, say you wanted to change this out to you know, to a plain G string. It's got a very different intonation point than a wound G. So so being able to change those intonation points is really, really cool. Also, each one is a piezo pickup, so you've got 6 individual piezos that will give you, you know, real clarity of sound as you go through there. We've also got a Crevo humbucker, custom made humbucker that goes here, so you can blend the two. And then we've got 13-pin MIDI. So so everything can be blended together on the guitar. So so it's an acoustic guitar with
some electric features.
A lot of
full.
All the things that I've got on here are really to complement the acoustic sounds. So like on the Virtuo that you tried before, we've got the Fishman fluence on there, and they're to contrast with the acoustic sounds. So this humbucker is designed really to complement it, you know, so kind of it's very much still an acoustic focused instrument. So then we go up, oh well, you know, actually we're staying on an X10. So this is the X10 Slimline. So same body from the front, just half the thickness. So so this is kind of designed as a stage acoustic, but still with a really good acoustic sound as well. You know, unplugged, fantastic. And when you have a smaller, slimmer body, it's a little bit easier on stage because you've got less air movement, so you have a little bit less issue with feedback.
Yeah, the feedback.
So so these can be really popular, and we have a whole range of different pickup systems that that you can have for this. Then we're moving up into our best-selling guitar, which is the X20, and so it's like a dreadnought size acoustic, and it's got all the ergonomics. So while it's a dreadnought size, it actually feels a lot smaller.
Could I see that carved back? That's like, it's like, well, I mean, it's not carved, the molded back of the carbon fiber, but that's really cool. Yeah,
so it's kind of got almost that like archtop kind of style on it. Very subtle little bevel here, which is really nice. And the thing that a lot of people don't even notice is this asymmetrical side. And you really have to be sitting down, but it's angled. So rather than your knee would normally sit straight, it allows your knee to sit angled across the guitar. So whenever you're sitting down with the guitar, it's always, you know, played at an angle from you.
Your leg always goes at that angle.
Yeah, so it sits very comfortably. So it's little subtle details that when you hold it, you know there's just something a little bit different going on here. So the X20 is it's been a great seller because it just holds that strong center point. Now for the Lefty, X20 Lefty, and so we do cater for the left-handed players. So it's just the exact same guitar, just entire clone the other direction, which messes with my head every time I have to set one of these up or do something with it. But we're very happy to accommodate the lefty players. And that means any for 12 or X20 models, so like an X20 12 string or nylon string or anything, we can do those all on left-handed. So then we also have the X20 nylon string. So using the exact same body, so it comes out of the same mold as the X20 steel string, but we build the top quite differently. We build the top a lot lighter, and so just making it more responsive for steel strings.
And are those adjustable saddles on this too?
They are indeed, yes, and works really well on a nylon string.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Actually, on the nylon string, what we've found, these are very desirable because there's such a vast range of how people like to set up a nylon guitar. You know, if you're playing purely acoustic and you're used to, you know, using a really heavy attack for acoustic presence in a room, then you need the action really high on a nylon guitar to really get that clean sound. But you know, maybe you're playing more amplified and you're playing a little bit more kind of electric style, then you can drop it considerably. You know, so like the action on some nylon guitars could be 3.5 mil at the 12th fret, but you could bring it down as far as 2 mil, and you know, with the right playing style.
Yeah.
So it's finding a way to put the action to match the player. You know, so again, all carbon fiber, but this one has a royal ebony veneer on top, which is really quite striking, and the beautiful inlays here. And then the other thing that we do on this one, which is really cool, is we carve the headstock out of a solid billet of carbon, so you can kind of see all the layering of it there.
Yeah.
Which is really quite cool.
So that's kind of like your bridges are kind of built out of the same solid blocks of carbon.
Yeah. So we have these sheets made up of carbon fiber, and it, like here is about probably 30 layers of carbon fiber, all laminated together, and then carved, and it gives this beautiful effect. But we love the headstocks in these. This step design, which is designed to give a much more straight string pull.
Oh yeah.
So small little detail.
A lot of design elements of these guitars that you don't really notice at first glance until you look closer.
Yeah, and I suppose, you know, that's one of the things that I've put a lot of time into is just thinking through every little element and just making them really function. You know, so it's not just about the visuals; it's very much about the form and function. This one is the big X30, or Jumbo. Now this is a guitar where our molding technology really excels, because this is a big Jumbo guitar. This is bigger than a J200. This is possibly as big a Jumbo guitar as you're going to find anywhere in the market.
Yeah, it's very deep.
But whenever you play it, it feels way smaller.
Oh, because of all the bevels.
Because of the bevels and small little things taken away that makes a big impact. So the asymmetrical side is exaggerated on this even a little bit more. It's got a larger bevel here on the side for the rib bevel, and then the arm bevel. So
and what's this top here?
That's redwood burl. Stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's it almost looks like sinews or something. It's crazy. It's like the face of Freddy Krueger. So, but when I was designing this, I wanted to design a guitar that had a big, proper bassy sound. And we had a previous X30 model, and I just felt it didn't have enough bass. You know, whenever you lift a Jumbo, you want it to sound like a Jumbo, and this sounds like a Jumbo. So, you know, it's a very different thing when we're designing a guitar. For this, like, we have to build an entire mold. You're designing and thinking about what it might sound like, but you really don't know until you've made the first one. And when I made the first one of these, I had a big smile on my face. It's just an incredible sound. It just hits you in the gut. A lot of bass response. So that's sort of the the end of the more conventional 6-string guitars.
Now we're starting to get into the more unusual.
We're just getting more extreme from here. So this is the Kestrel archtop, and I love these. I love this particular one in blue. Actually, you know, there's a thing about blue archtops, and that one's
and the carbon fibre pops with the colour.
Yeah, so this is our vibrant weave that we use here, and it's got an amazing finish on it, that amazing blue. So the Kestrel archtop was kind of something I designed myself as a bit of a labour of love. I wanted to just have something that had that traditional kind of look. Really loved the F-hole designs, and give it a modern twist. So it's certainly an archtop with a modern twist. We've got this really cool floating tailpiece here, and it really looks like it's just floating. You can barely see the connection to the body.
And that's solid carbon fibre as well.
Solid carbon again. Actually, it's a really good example actually on that. You can really see the lines in the carbon weave. But this connects on by a press fit onto a little like a little stubby piece of carbon that comes up out of the body here. So very nicely just fits on there. We've got a Graphtec bridge here, so it's got 6 individual piezo pickups. Another one of the Crevo humbuckers, custom made, and just nice little discrete volume controls in here.
Oh, I didn't even see those.
So we do it with the knobs on the top if you want, or discrete if you prefer that cleaner look.
And you've got the same as the classical headstock with the cutouts.
Yeah, it's similar. This one's a little bit different because we actually mold this headstock rather than carving it, but it has that really nice distinct look.
It has that look, yeah.
So we'll probably save the best for last.
We have to work our way up.
Forget about the background for now. Although we're going to get straight into something really unusual right here. So we're starting off on this side with the HARP ukulele. Bet you've never seen one of these before.
No.
Yeah, you're not going to find one of these just hanging in the wall in your local guitar center. But the HARP ukulele, it's like the baby version of the HARP guitar. It's a tenor ukulele, and we've given it the extra harp arm here to support the 4 extra bass strings. And really the concept behind the HARP guitar is it allows you to create your own kind of drone or accompaniment. So you're playing the bass notes with your thumb, and playing your regular melody then over the top. Cool. With your hand. So
it's kind of a full band in the one thing. You've got your bass player and your
and absolutely. It's these are really cool because they're actually quite easy to play. The HARP guitar, I think, takes commitment. I haven't got that commitment, but the HARP ukulele is a little bit more approachable. You know, you really can. You know, somebody who plays ukulele can be making great sound out of this within an hour. You know, you'll soon get onto it. But a good example as well of the unusual shapes that we can quite easily mold here. You know, it's that really complex shape, again all made in one piece. And that's got a vibrant weave with a Koa veneer on top. Yeah, so you remember this one? Yeah. This is the Virtuo, and
this is the closest to an electric guitar that Emerald makes.
Well, we describe it as the guitar with the acoustic body and electric soul. So it's got the same acoustic body that we have on the other guitars.
This is a Slimline though, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's the same body, same mold as our X10 Slimline. Yeah. And but in this configuration we call it the Virtuo, and so it's got that great combination of pickups. So you've got the Fishman fluences, and as you know, it's got that 3-voice system on it, which is really cool. You know, easily accessed just with the push pulls. Then you've got the Graphtec piezos. And actually this was the guitar that I first designed the adjustable bridge for, even though we actually introduced it on some of the other guitars before we launched the Virtuo. But so here it's set up with electric strings, but you can put acoustic strings on it. So that's where it really comes into play, having the adjustable bridge. So you've got the piezos, the Fishman fluences, and as I was saying earlier, these are really designed to contrast, you know, so you've much more electric sounding pickup, and then blending in the piezo sounds to, you know, kind of create the fullness that you want. But everything also sounds much more alive. Like, you can find a solid body guitar that has magnetics and piezos, but you don't get really the fullness of acoustic because there's no, you know, proper reverberation of the actual body of the instrument.
There's no acousticness that the piezo is picking up.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we might mention is the 13-pin MIDI jack.
Yeah, we've got the 13-pin MIDI. So whenever you have the 6 individual pickups, that gives you the ability then to do the MIDI thing. So the Graphtec circuitry that we use, we're using their hexaphonic system. And yeah, it brings up so many possibilities with this guitar, because the way it's configured, you've got 3 volume controls, so you can blend them together on board, and that's where you can really start to get really quite interesting. The other thing that you can do as well is you can separate out all the
piezo versus
so you can put in a jack here, put a stereo jack in, and it's going to split these two between the piezos and the magnetics, and then you put the your 13 pin in for your MIDI, so you can have everything going doing different things
all at the same time.
All at the same time, and yeah, that can be a lot of fun. That just opens up so many possibilities.
And if you're interested in seeing more or learning more about the Virtuo, I did a review on one of these a few months back, but in that review we didn't touch on the MIDI, so I'm going to do that now.
So that's the Virtuo. Yeah, it's been a huge success since we launched it back, I guess, just over 2 years ago now. And really what I should say as well is this is a guitar that was inspired by lockdown. I was watching Davey Kay, Johnny Gallagher, and Mark Black, and all 3 of them started doing the lockdown sessions during COVID. And so every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we were sitting watching those guys. And I'd watch them combine all their different sounds, and all 3 of them are really good on looping and that sort of thing. And it just kind of inspired me to see, could you combine all the things that they were doing into one instrument? Like Davey Kay would have started off building up a loop maybe with his acoustic guitar, and then bringing in his electric guitar. And, he was switching guitars mid-loop, and I thought, well, maybe there's another way. So we started thinking about the Virtuo, and so I've those guys to thank for that.
It's a very cool instrument. And is this this would be a popular Emerald build?
Yeah, right now it's almost neck and neck between this and the X20 in terms of sales numbers.
So it's almost your most popular.
And some months it is the most popular. It's very, very close, but it has so much potential, and I think it's we're only scratching the surface of what we can do with this guitar.
From what my experience with it.
Yeah. So we were talking about what side that should sit on. Does it sit on the normal guitars or the unusual guitars? And to me now it's become usual, but it's that to me is just normal.
Well, I don't think anyone else does it, so it's definitely unusual.
Well, it's I want to make it normal. I want this to be the benchmark, Okay, so this is something that's going to interest you. This is our X20 7-string. So I know you have an interest in 7-string guitars, and visually I just love how these look. They're so cool. It's the only guitar that we do as standard as a fan fret. We offer fan frets as a custom option on all of our guitars, but the 7-string is the one where it really needs a fan fret.
Yeah.
And
what's the scale length, do you know?
27 on the bass side, 25 and a half on the treble.
Oh, okay.
So so that low B is the same scale length as we use in our baritone, which I'm going to show you next. And so it's, you know, a really nice distinct low B. And that's really the concept behind it. If we had the full scale length at 25 and a half, this is going to be a really floppy low B. It's not going to have that power. If we had everything the full scale at 27, then the high strings are going to be a little bit tight and a bit anemic, you know. So it gets us that really nice balance, as well as, you know, the ergonomic benefits of a fan fret as well. But yeah, really cool instrument, and very nice with the black quilted maple on the top and the black carbon. So we're kind of sitting in the same realm in some ways. So this is the baritone. So while that's tuned B to E, this is B to B. So a regular baritone scale, and so 27-inch scale right across. So it's some baritones will have a longer scale. You'll often find 28-inch baritones out there. 27's a really nice balance between
standard guitar
tension and playability. You know, whenever you get too long a scale, it's just, you know, bigger stretches and things. And we don't sell a lot of baritone guitars, but it's nice that we have it. You know, it's a nice option. Then we have the X10 Slimline Nylon, and so really is an extension of the X10 range. We've just done this nylon version of it, and this is in the most sort of simple form. It's just purely got the 6 piezos, but we can also do this with MIDI. We can do it with piezos and K&K pure mini pickups inside. So yeah, a lot of different ways we can do this. Very much a stage nylon guitar. Now we're getting into 12 strings. So quite a range of 12-string guitars.
All of these are 12s?
All of these are 12-string guitars. And I think, you know, for the size of company that we are, for the number of guitars that we do, we probably do a higher percentage of 12 strings than most. And the reason for that is just carbon is suited to 12-string guitars.
Because I hate tuning 12 strings.
Well, yeah,
so when
exactly.
they go out, you know, it doesn't inspire you to play. But if the carbon fibre is not moving anywhere near as much as wood, you know, it's gonna stay in tune.
It's just easier to live with, you know. So there's multiple different things that benefit. One is the stability. So it's, you know, it's not going to move the temperature and humidity and stuff. And if you've played a 12 string for any period, you'll know that they keep moving and things, and you get so much tension, you get it into tune and it, you know, keeps on moving a little bit one way or the other. But these are very stable. So there's the tuning is a great factor. You've got the strength of the top. So because the top is so strong, you know, we're not worried about a bridge pulling off or about a top pulling in or something. So we're happy to use heavier gauge strings on these. You know, we can put 12 to 53 12-string.
The tension doesn't matter.
And put it up to full pitch as well. You know, often people tune a 12-string down, but our guitars can easily take it, and so we really like that. So this is the Slimline X10 Slimline 12-string.
Kind of the live players 12-string.
Yeah, so very much designed like that. We've got a Crevo humbucker that's designed specifically for it, combined with an undersaddle pickup, and then onboard controls here on top. So very much a a stage 12-string guitar. Now this is one that I know you have an interest in.
I only just got to play it just a little bit, but I think it's so cool. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, there's not much like it out there, and I suppose there's a lot of like older traditional instruments that are actually have similar designs. Like the Portuguese Kestrel is kind of similar to this, but what it's designed to be is really it kind of gives you that mandolin sound, but it's designed for a guitar player. So if you can imagine putting a capo on your 10th fret, that's the tuning that we have here. So it's tuned D to D, and yeah, it just gives you a very, very different sound, which is very cool. So it's an 18-inch scale length, and unlike the other 12 strings that have octaves, this is all tuned in unison strings. So it's all pairs, and it just gives you a really sort of thick, choppy sound that has a lot of complexity and overtones, and
yeah,
it's really cool.
I really like it. It's got a sound to it that I haven't heard before, and I could just see it in a lot of different like music. Because as a guitar player, I like the sound of other instruments, but I don't know how to play them. But I can play that, and it's a completely different sound.
Well, that's what's great about it. I mean, you pick it up and just play it like you're playing a guitar. If you want to play along with somebody, that's tuned to E, you can put a capo on it and do it that way. But if you can, transpose and work along, then it's very easy. But what's interesting about it is everybody has a different approach to it. Like we had a great singer-songwriter come in here the other day, and he started playing beautiful traditional Irish stuff on it. Fell in love with one and took it home with him straight away. But you see other people doing like fingerstyle on here, or Johnny Gallagher plays one every night, and he's playing Rory Gallagher songs on it. And it's a very cool instrument. Somebody recently said every studio should have one of these, because
Perfect
it just brings this extra complexity into a track. So very cool instrument.
I just wanted to add a little bit of additional context to this, because this is the second day here at Emerald that we're recording the playing, and I got to spend the evening with some guitars, and this is the one that I played the most, just because of how interesting it is. I want to show you the strings. So to explain this, it's a 12 string, right? So you've got two sets of 6 strings, but without that low E. So if you had your A strings, and then your D and your G and your B and your high E's, and then you take 2 single 8.5 strings, and there's a lot of tension on them, but you tune them in unison, and they sound so good. It is a different instrument. I found this to be the most fun to play, and I do get why this it would actually make sense for songwriting, because I found that I was coming up with riffs, because as I'm going to show you, you can play like standard guitar riffs that you would never expect to be played on this, and it will sound completely different. It'll sound like a completely different song almost. It's really, really cool. So here's the demo.
have it in both left-handed and right-handed, and so that's the left-handed version right there.
Beautiful color too.
Yeah, the vibrant red's really nice. Then we're into the X7 12-string. So it's a parlor-sized 12-string guitar. So 24-inch scale. Somebody's looking for a nice compact 12-string. This is a really nice option. Beautiful full sound, but yeah, it's a really cool little instrument.
And this also has the piezo and all of that stuff.
Yeah, so on these we're using LR Baggs element pickups.
Ah, okay.
So the LR Baggs under saddle with a little volume and tone just right here. Then into what had been our main 12-string for many years, which is the X20 12-string, and then we added in the other models as well. But this has been the staple of our 12-string range for a long time, and I think, you know, whereas we're talking about the structure and things of a 12-string, this guitar, well, really all the guitars, you really start to see how the sound of a carbon guitar really works for a 12-string guitar. There's a clarity to the carbon guitars, real resonance and a sustain. But on a 12-string, those characteristics are just accentuated. You know, you've got the great balance that we have in the X20 across the register, and then you add in those octaves, and it's something magical. It's just such a cool sound. Just a fantastic way to build a 12-string guitar. And then we have the Jumbo. Now, this is a big sounding instrument.
I can imagine.
You've got that big jumbo sound, add in the octaves, and you've got something magic. There's a particularly beautiful one with this Cocobolo veneer on top.
And all your guitars have the options of putting veneers on them.
Yeah, so if you go into our 3D builder, that's where it gets really fun, because you've got 25 different models on there that you can choose from. Then you can choose smaller colored carbons, the different veneers, the inlays, the different pickup systems. You know, it's kind of limitless, and that's why I love doing the shipping videos that we do every week, because there's never the same or the same selection of guitars. You know, it's sometimes regularly I'm seeing a guitar that I've never seen before, you know, a color combination or configuration, and so it surprises me, you know, which is cool.
Things interesting.
Yeah.
And we've just looked at a bunch of different 12 strings. Which would you say is like the most popular 12 string that you do?
I think the X20 had always been the most popular. Right now, because we've added in the others, it's kind of getting diluted down a little bit. X30 has been pushing the X20 really hard this year in terms of sales, and I think people are loving the fact that you can have such a big sound out of that 12 string, and with the ergonomics, it's still, you know, it's quite comfortable to play. So either is a really good choice, but you maybe need both. and that's what happens here at Emerald. I will warn people, you've been warned. It's kind of a little bit of one Emerald guitar is a bit of a gateway drug into a bit of an addiction, and you know, there's people out there that have every one of these.
Well, yeah, there's so many different models that if you had one, you kind of, something else does something completely different.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted, because, you know, here's the hard thing whenever you're building guitars is there's, in a lot of ways, there's only so many ways to build a guitar. You know, and I don't want to have a range of guitars that are designed, well, this is the red one and this is the purple one. And I wanted all my guitars, all the models, to be very distinct. You know, it's not just a different shape, it's a different guitar that has a different purpose. You know, so every one of these has a specific sonic purpose, and I'm very proud of that. The fact that they're not just made to just add another guitar to the collection. You know, they have a reason. You know, and it's and if you add custom versions of this as well, then you can, you know, get even further into, you know, sonic territory. And I had a customer in Chicago a number of years ago, and he developed a collection of emeralds. And what I loved about it was every guitar was thought of for a specific sonic purpose. And you know, he was like building his own orchestra, and he was recording with them and recording albums where they all had a specific dynamic and purpose. And when you heard it all together, it was just magnificent, you know. And it's nice to build guitars like that.
And speaking of orchestras,
well, that's it. Yes.
So
HARP. If you can only buy one and you want to have the orchestra, maybe then you have to get something like this. So where do we start? We'll start with the most complex, and we can explain a harp guitar. So the harp guitar, first of all, it's not. This might look like some modern craziness that I've come up with, and not at all. The harp guitar was kind of at its heyday back in the early 1900s. Gibson used to make harp guitars. There's various companies out there that made harp guitars in the early 1900s. And then it kind of died away. And I think Michael Hedges is probably quite responsible for bringing it back to public attention. He started using one. And then recently there's been a bit of resurgence in the harp guitar. And I saw them kind of by chance, came across them a few times and was fascinated by the instrument, and then became fascinated by the people who played them. And we realized that, well, carbon fiber is a great way to build a guitar like this.
Because there's so much tension with the bass harp strings on the body.
Yeah, so much, and that's where the conversations. It was a friend introduced me to some other friends who were harp guitar players. We just ended up all having dinner together one night after the NAMM show, and we started talking about harp guitars and the difficulties with them, and you know, problems with bridges lifting and tops delaminating and all kinds of things. And I thought, well, maybe, you know, carbon is a good way to do this. So that took me down the unusual route of harp guitars. It's a niche world for sure, but it's something that we're very proud to have as part of what we do. So this is a super treble harp guitar. So you've got 8 treble strings, and it's tuned E to E. So just every one is a different note, you know. So it's and you can tune it all kinds of different ways. You know, everybody will have a different approach, and then it's got, this one has 7 bass strings on it, and then your 6th string on the neck.
So you've got the full orchestra accompaniment. When you're playing your 6th string, you can then do a little melody on your higher strings, your treble strings, do a drone on your bass strings.
Yeah,
you've got the full band.
And it's remarkable, the music. You know, you hear people playing some amazing Celtic music on these and various things, and it's something really beautiful about it. If you look at the back. So we've got a little label on there, but we should have taken that off. But yeah, that beautiful sculpted back on here, all those tuners, and a really special. And this is a customer's guitar, so it's a really nice custom piece. Fantastic with this Spalta Chen veneer on the top. And I've got this hand detailing running around the sides.
Oh wow!
And the inlays. So that's a harp guitar.
And it doesn't have to be as complex as this, because we've got others over here where you don't have to have the treble, the high treble. Yeah, so the majority of those that we build don't have the treble strings in. So this is a more conventional version of it.
6 sub bass strings, and a regular 6-string neck. And we built some as well with a 12-string neck.
Ah.
You know, just for those who
Those
like
that want
more
it.
strings. You know, so yeah, it's there's some wonderful harp guitar players out there. People like Jamie Dupuis, who has done some amazing songs with our harp guitars. Tony Bernard, who has played some fantastic stuff on the super treble harp guitars. Muriel Anderson plays one. Yeah, in the right hands, in the right creative hands, they're
You can do anything.
just incredible.
So this probably isn't designed for this, but this is Kiss on a harp guitar.
And we also do a small body parlor-sized harp guitar. It's the only one instrument that I don't have one in stock right now.
So because those are big.
Yeah, so we do the smaller, which is kind of like a travel-sized parlor harp guitar, which is cool as well.
And then there's this.
So this is the Solace. This is a Weisenborn style lap slide guitar. So this is another unusual one, and I suppose this was the guitar that I was never going to get time to ever design and make a mold for, except for the pandemic coming along. So back at the start of 2020, when we had the lockdown, we ended up having to close the factory here for a period. And I thought, well, this has given me an opportunity to do something that I've never had the time to do. And I was always fascinated by these. Every now and again at NAMM show, you would see maybe like one Weisenborn hanging on a wall in a booth somewhere. So I would periodically see them. And then a friend of mine loved the Weisenborn. He loved Ben Harper, and he was always telling me, you gotta build one, you gotta build one. So there was this little bit of, nagging pressure coming in there, and eventually we decided it's time to do one. So myself and my son set about it. We did a project, and we built the mold and we filmed it every day. And over a period of 2 months, brought the thing to life. And it's really cool. What I love about it is it brings an entirely different tonal spectrum into our musical world. So
It's
seeing
one of those tools that does the job.
It's a tool that, it's got musical purpose, and it's, for me, it's been a real thrill, hearing somebody playing an X20 and then an acoustic bass and the Weisenborn then alongside it. And, so I'm very much inspired by the music that these things create, and it's such a wonderful sounding instrument. So that's entirely a hollow body. So it's got a really big acoustic chamber, so it gives a big full sound.
Yeah, it's very light. And now speaking of a very full sound.
Yes. So that is the Balor. And so I'll tell you about the name Balor. The Balor is, we were trying to find a name for this instrument, or acoustic bass. And somebody suggested to me, we were looking for like mythology, names from mythology. And we discovered there was this myth about the giant called Balor, who lived on Tory Island off the coast of Donegal. And he was the one-eyed giant. So this, in a way, is the one-eyed giant. So that's our one-eyed giant, Balor. And I've been building acoustic basses for over 20 years. And the one I had before this was good, but not great. And I wanted to build an instrument that was great. And so you're always trying to improve. So I set down 2 parameters for an acoustic bass. One is it had to have beautiful tone. So I wanted this to be an instrument that somebody would want to take into a studio and record with. It had to not just fit if you're doing an MTV Unplugged session. I wanted to genuinely be an instrument in its own right that made beautiful music. And then secondly, it had to perform well enough acoustically. Yes, they have pickups, but acoustically I wanted this to really perform well. So that directed us in a couple of ways. Really, it had to be large. You have to have a large body to get a good acoustic sound. So you're competing with a you know, a big upright. And you know, so the big large body gives you that, you know, big air cavity, which gives you that low air resonance, and makes a low frequency bass sound. For us, we had to create as large a body as possible, but you still have to be able to play it.
Yeah.
And if you look at the back and sides of this, you see how sculpted it is, just like the other ones. And you know, so this extreme angle here on that side, that really allows it to sit. You know, so you're mostly going to play this sitting down, and that angle there really sets it in a very nice position for playing.
And it sounds huge. Like it looks huge. It is a big instrument, but it sounds huge.
Yeah, but it's still very playable. Like you know, it's big, but when you're sitting down playing it with the way the bevels are, it's comfortable to play.
And this is the 5-string version.
That's the 5-string.
You've also got the 4-string.
And then the 4. Here. So yeah, so just exact same body, just a 4-string version. We have it in both fretted and fretless. Yeah, we can have all the bases covered.
And are these,
if you pardon the pun,
are these stainless steel frets?
Stainless steel frets, yeah. And you know, back in the day, I used to do more custom builds, and so in the past we've done 7-string versions, 6-string, 7-string, 12-string. I did a 14-string once, 14-string bass. And in various configurations, like an 8-string is actually really cool. So 4-string with pairs.
Oh, so it's kind of like a 12-string guitar.
Yeah, and that because it makes it so loud. You've got so much power in it. We've done the triple course 4, so it's 4-string with 2 octave strings with each one, which is interesting. So we've done all kinds of configurations over the years. So everything from 4 strings right up to
14.
I think 36 is the largest number of strings that I've put on a guitar.
Well, we're not quite there yet, but we are at 18 on this one.
So the 36 string that I built was 18 strings on 2 necks.
Okay.
And so it was 9-string, but doubled on 2 necks with different tunings, for an incredible musician called Kevin Castney. So yes, double necks. The double neck guitar was something that came out of a conversation with Richie Sambora. So I gotta thank him for that inspiration. I was lucky enough to spend some time with him after a Bon Jovi concert in Dublin one time. We started talking about guitars, and I had an X10, and I brought it down and showed it to him, and we started talking about double necks, and I went back and started designing the Chimera. And it's another guitar that's a great example of what carbon fiber does well. You know, complex shape, 2 necks, you know, unusual body, and a lot of tension. So yeah, carbon makes it possible.
You don't really see this sort of stuff, and that's...
Yeah, I mean, so the Ovation double necks were out there, obviously, and you know, Richie Sambora, used one of those, and so that would have been really the only commercially available one, and until we did this one as well. And there's been various people have done custom versions as well, custom double neck guitars. But it's been something really fun to have in our lineup over the years, and you know, some people will just play a Bon Jovi cover on it and, you know, use it for one song every now and again. or there's some guys that are just playing some really magical music on it. And we've done these in various custom configurations over the years.
It doesn't have to be 6 and 12.
6 and 12 is our standard, but in the past we've done ones with a 6-string steel, 6-string nylon. We've done 6 and 6, which is really cool because you can do like two entirely different tunings. 7 and 7, 7 and 14. I've done it with a 6-string and a 4-string bass. Yeah, we've done a lot of unusual things over the years.
Well, if you're interested in some usual or unusual stuff, you have a sale on at the moment, don't you?
Yeah, so we're doing our Black Friday sale. So it's running for the last 2 weeks of November, and we're giving, depending on what model, between 10 and 15% off our guitars. So it's a really good time to get in there and get a bit of a bargain. And that's both on our stock guitars, and we try and have a wide range of guitars in stock, but then also on the 3D builder, you know, so somebody can
do a
custom design a guitar and get that this month as well. So yeah, it's the right time to get in there.
Well, there's a link to the Emerald website in the description. Thank you, Alistair, for inviting us down. I've had a fun time looking at these guitars and playing them. Like the video, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.